Are you drunk enough now to judge what I'm doing? Are you high enough to excuse that I'm ruined? 'Cause I'm ruined. Is it late enough?
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to episode number 8 of the Mindset series. My name is Amanda and I'm the head coach for Divine Physiques coaching here in Melbourne. Today I'm bringing on Faye Magpayo, who is the head coach for the Queen of Lean here in Melbourne, Australia, down in Kensington. We chat a little bit about her journey through her battle of Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome and how that led her into coaching. So I hope that you enjoy today's episode. If you have any comments or feedback, please leave that below, but we'll catch you on the other side. All right. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, just, like shifting from working predominantly with men and then coming to a female specific facility. I guess there were a lot of things that I could see, or a lot of different things that I was exposed to that I suppose I wasn't exposed to as much. And I think a lot of it comes down to the clientele that we attract here at the Queen of Lean. So, we have women that are very successful professionally, high on the corporate ladder, very career driven, very busy, highly stressed. And that kind of affects the coaching process quite a lot. Like in terms of when I was training men, and to kind of contrast the two with guys, I found women are a lot easier to train on the gym floor. Because they're a little bit more willing to push hard, and I don't want to offend any of your male listeners, but I find that women generally were easier to push on the gym floor, and men not as much. But then when it comes to the actual coaching process, there's a lot more complexity with women.
Okay.
It's a lot more emotional kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. With in terms of preference, in terms of coaching, I must say I do take a preference towards coaching males over females because I just think given I've got personality traits that I can blend very well with both male and female. I think I have the ability to push blokes that little bit more. I feel like I've got a lot of male tendencies and I really work well with guys, but girls are good for other reasons too. I can connect with a female in ways I can't connect with males. So Faye, how long have you been coaching for now?
So I started in 2009.
Yep.
So a couple of minutes. I've been doing it for a couple of minutes.
So how did you start? Where did you start?
Where did I start? So I started at Fitness First in Burke Street.
Yep.
What
was that
and like? It was a small team. So when I started, there were, I think I was the 11th trainer on board, and there were only 2 other females at the time, which is not unusual in the fitness industry. It is still a largely male-dominated industry. But the other 2 female trainers I actually never saw because we just were working at different times. So I just felt like it was a bit of a boys' club anyway. But I think it was a great kind of launching pad for me because it was a smaller club. And I'm actually by nature quite introverted and I'm not great with a big crowd, but give me a small group or one-on-one and I think that's where I tend to shine or excel a little bit more. So it was slightly less intimidating than going straight into a club that's got 30 trainers, although my last big box gym that I worked at had about 30 trainers.
Yeah, so what was the other gym that you worked at?
So that was also Fitness First, and that was the Platinum Club in Flinders Street.
Right. And what was the difference in terms of just the energy and the clients that you dealt with? And I suppose like the competition with sharing a gym with 30 other trainers, like how did you find it? Did you felt like you could stand out, or that you really just probably felt like another number in a gym?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I guess I should probably kind of backpedal a little bit. And, you know, when I started off at Burke Street, I felt like I bit off more than I could chew. I was passionate about the industry, but I'm like, oh my God, I've only ever had one trainer. I don't actually know how to train people outside of the people that I did my course with. And then learning how to be a trainer and learning how to run a business all at the same time. That was quite daunting. But anyway, that situation was great because the trainers that I worked with at Burke Street, a lot of them had 5, 7, 10 years experience. So for me, it was it was a really big eye opener. And I remember looking up to these other trainers. You know, I could see them having conversations with their clients, and they just sounded like they knew their stuff, and you know, I just really wanted to emulate them. But it was also intimidating because I could hear their clients speaking back to them, and their clients, I was like, oh my God, their clients know more than I do. How could I possibly be a personal trainer? You know? But I guess like it came down to mindset. I could have just said, oh, you know, I'm not going to be able to match it with these guys. But instead, I kind of took it on myself to get better, you know, just learn. And then eventually some of the more senior guys moved on, started their own gyms and whatnot. And all of a sudden, in my second year, I became the most senior coach there. And
that's a nice feeling, isn't it? It's nice.
Sudden realization of I don't have one. It's nice. Yeah, like I was all of a sudden the big fish in the little pond. But I also had this realization of, oh my God, now people are looking to me for answers rather than me having someone to look up to. But that was great because it forced me to really up my game. And what I actually decided to do was start mentoring some of the younger coaches, because they were constantly asking me questions and stuff like that. And that really, I find that teaching is the best way to reinforce learning. So I really, really enjoyed that. And then, yeah, so like my business there was really successful. I was the busiest coach there, but I was running out of challenges and I felt like I needed a bit of a change. And so when the new club opened up, I decided to move on. And all of my clients pretty much came with me. So in terms of trying to compete in a club that had more trainers, I actually didn't have much issue at all.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So when you were trying to upskill through that process, so obviously you took on, you started to stand out more amongst the other coaches. What sort of, which mentors did you tend to lead towards to then get business advice and upskill? And who were some people that you looked up to back then?
Yeah, so the fitness industry was a little bit different back then. It wasn't so evidence-based, and it was all about functional movement back then. So what year was this roughly? So 2009, 2010, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
So people like what's his name? Guys like Chuck Wolf and Gary Gray and you know, Paul Check. These were the guys that were kind of at the top of their game at that time.
Yep.
And those were the guys that a lot of the other trainers that I worked with were following. So that was the kind of stuff that I was doing at the time. In terms of like business mentoring, to be honest, I didn't really look into any of that at all. I think I had this mentality of I just want to get really good at my craft and then business after that, because I think for a long time I kind of thought, you know, if I want people to look at me as someone that was worth investing in as a coach, I needed to really provide that service and that value. And so that was my priority in the first couple of years.
Okay, cool. So I suppose that I've got a interesting question is why you have chosen to work for another studio and not open your own thing.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different things there. So I think for me, you know, in terms of what I want to do long term, I think that this was going to be a little bit of a better fit, just because I really love being on the gym floor with my clients. Granted, I don't have as many contact hours with clients now. I really, really enjoy that. I can see myself in a Zimmer frame at 90 still on the gym floor coaching clients. Yeah. And I have had friends that have opened their own gyms, and, you know, a lot of it becomes working behind the scenes, you know, looking more at lead generation, marketing, all those kinds of things. And I kind of felt like that was going to be taking me too far away from the stuff that I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, like, I, through other people, had heard a lot about Amanda previously, and I, you know, had obviously seen a lot about what she had done, and, you know, opening this space, and I just wanted to be a part of something like that, you know.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, like, between yourself and Joe, like, Joe also has, I think, like, the potential to go quite far as well. So it's good that Amanda has hired people that are of a high caliber, probably with the potential to run their own thing, but are quite happy to be in her space, which is great for her. It's great for everyone. So you're unlike, say, a commercial gym where you kind of get anyone who's anyone with a certificate in there. You are surrounded amongst people who are way more driven, more specific, more just more passionate. I think more the real deal in terms of the industry. So it's good for you. It's great for you. Great place to be. So what drove you to become a coach originally?
At the risk of sounding corny, it's just that whole thing of having been on a little bit of a process yourself. So just to give you a quick Cliff's Notes. So when I was maybe 15 or 16, I was going through a whole bunch of different stuff. So like, I had suddenly gained like a ton of weight. My skin was out of control. It was just like cystic acne. Clumps of my hair was falling out. My mood, I was in quite a kind of depressive mood for a lot of like teenage years, which I know probably sounds pretty common for being a teenager, but and then my menstrual cycle just went from being on the dot every single month to I would get it maybe 2, 3, 4 times a year max. And so my mum was like, right, there's something going on here. We need to have this looked at. And what it turned out was that I was diagnosed with Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've heard much about that. But so at the time that I was diagnosed, they didn't really know much about it, and there wasn't much in the way of treatment for it. And so really the treatment for it was just symptomatic. So we're going to give you something separate for your skin. We're going to give you something separate for this, that, the other. But the problem with that approach is that it was just treating the symptoms and not the actual root cause of what was causing all of these things.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's the whole thing of, you know, I was told that all the symptoms that I was experiencing was really exacerbated by the weight gain. But the weight gain is a result of the actual syndrome. So it's like this vicious cycle. It's chicken or the egg, what comes first. So, you know, I was seeing endocrinologists and whatnot quite regularly. And I think I'd gotten to the point where I was just sick of it because they couldn't really give me any practical advice.
Yeah.
And so by the time I got to maybe 18 or 19, you know, like it was debilitating. Like I would walk through a shopping centre and I couldn't even look at people in the face. I would just be staring at the tiles on the floor.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, your whole self-confidence, all that kind of stuff, non-existent. So anyway, I think I got to the point where I just thought, you know, I've tried all these different things. I'm damned if I do. I'm damned if I don't. I give up, right?
Yeah, sure.
Fixed mindset. And and it wasn't until a couple of years after that, I just happened to be sitting at a doctor's office and I was reading, I don't know, a Woman's Day or some kind of magazine, and it had a article about a herb that was meant to help with regulating your menstrual cycle if you've got polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Yeah.
So I went out to a health food store and bought a bottle of it. And the very first month that I took it, my menstrual cycle came. Second month, it came again. Third month, it came again. And over that time, once my menstrual cycle started normalizing, all of my other symptoms started decreasing. And so then right around that time, I also started going to the gym. I got out of this victim mentality of I can't do anything about this, so I'm just not even going to try.
Yeah.
And it, you know, I started going to the gym. I started reading up a little bit more on, you know, what kind of diet might be helpful. Yeah, so I guess I went through that whole thing. I ended up losing, I think it was like 25 kilos or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. How long did that take you? How long did it take you to lose that weight?
I reckon it must have been maybe a year. And back then I still didn't know anything, you know. And then, yeah, so that happened. And then I decided to study, and I actually did a nutrition course. But it was much more from a like a disease processes kind of perspective, which I really enjoyed, but it didn't really teach me how to, you know, put together nutritional advice that would be appropriate to the clients that we see now, like in terms of body comp and that kind of thing. Okay,
so talk about so in terms of the clients that you do see and some of the things that they come to you with. So do you see a lot of women that suffer from PCOS?
I have in the past. Yeah, I have in the past.
Have you had a lot of success with those clients?
Yeah, so one actually just recently, one of the things that she wanted to be able to achieve by coming to the gym was not just to lose weight, but her and her husband were thinking about starting a family.
Mm-hmm.
And so she actually just recently, that's really cool.
Say that again. Sorry, Faye, just cut out. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah.
So something about your client. So your client came to you. She was trying to, her and her partner were trying to have a baby, and then it cut out.
So yeah, can you hear me now?
I can. Yeah. It cut out again. That's all right.
Yeah. So yeah. So she was wanting to get pregnant. So
Yep.
PCOS, because of what it does to the menstrual cycle, it can affect fertility.
Yep.
And so just recently, she actually just found out that she's pregnant with her first baby. So.
Okay, beautiful. That's fantastic. So was that natural, or did she go through IVF with that?
Yeah, natural.
Yeah,
natural.
Yeah, fantastic. And what were some of the protocols used with her nutrition and training that you feel might have had a good influence with the result of her falling pregnant?
Yeah, so like with her, we really just had to work on sleep was the very, very first thing that we did, because she wasn't getting very much sleep at all. And because she wasn't getting much sleep, she'd get up and she was living off of Red Bulls.
Oh, right.
And then because she was drinking, because she was drinking 2 or 3 Red Bulls in the morning.
Yep.
She wasn't feeling hungry, right, for the first part of the day. But then because she wasn't eating through the first part of the day, by the time she got home in the afternoon, in the evening, she was ravenous. And so, she, like, her portion sizes were, way off the mark.
Yeah.
And then in terms of what she was actually eating, it was really high carbohydrate, and nowhere near enough protein. So it was just like tidying up little things like that.
Yeah. And how long did it take her to get into a better routine with her eating, and I suppose getting rid of the Red Bulls, because that can be so hard for some people, like if they're just not a breakfast eater?
Yeah.
How long does it take to develop a good breakfast and regular eating routine?
To be honest, she took to it pretty quickly. I think she was at a place where she was really ready to do something about it.
Yeah.
Because I used to work with this client, and she, so I'd known her for many years, and a couple of years before she started training with me, she'd actually reached out via Facebook Messenger and kind of talked about the potential of training together, and then it just never materialized. We never caught up. And so by the time that I came across here, I think she actually touched base with me because she saw that she saw on Facebook that I started working here. And so she got in contact, and we finally got her in. So yeah, she was definitely ready.
Yeah. Okay. And they're really good clients to work with too, because they generally take on everything you say and they listen, and they're the ones that tend to have the long-term success as well. So yeah, I think a lot of people will take on a journey when they're not 100% ready. So yeah. And it's like, even on the flip side of that, like if you're in a position of like a business position, for example, and you're saying that you want to expand, and then when the opportunity presents itself, you kind of shit yourself and you don't know that you are quite ready, and it's not having that confidence. It's kind of the same sort of thing, is having that self-awareness to know, I'll do whatever it takes now to go forward with it. So yeah, that's good. Well done. And have you had quite a few of those stories where you've had good success like that at that sort of level with clients?
With clients that have had PCOS, or just in general?
Just in general, yeah.
Client success.
Success means different things for different people. I mean, like it could just be something small, something large. I mean, the ability to transform a client, I think it'll happen at different levels for different people. Everyone's got different goals that they come with to the gym. How successful do you feel you've been as a coach? Let's just say at the Queen of Lean so far. How long have you been at the Queen of Lean for now?
Yes, I started here in February last year.
Yep.
So like 18 months.
Yeah.
It would take.
Yep.
I actually really feel like working in this space has allowed me to take my coaching to another level.
Yeah.
Just because of the community aspect of this space and this team, I think it really, it really helps, because a lot of the clients that we get in this space are, women that either haven't trained for like 20 years or have trained on and off, but have been intimidated by, mixed gyms. And having a space where they feel safe and they feel supported, it just, they feel more comfortable about coming to the gym. And so in terms of adherence, it's 100%. It's so much better.
Right. So like if we look at adherence from, say, clients in a commercial gym, for example, so when you're at Fitness First, can you see a massive difference between the two, like with the different clienteles that you've managed?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, when I was at Fitness First, quite a few of my clients knew each other anyway, but it just felt different, I guess, because you have a space like that and, there's a couple of thousand members, and it's easy to just become a number in that kind of space. Yeah. Whereas here, we've got about 130 clients and about 6 of us coaches, and everyone knows each other, know. And we, like, I have trained most of the other coaches' clients as well. Or now in my capacity as head coach, I do a lot of the the meetings with new clients as well. So I get to meet people from the very first time that they step foot in the door.
Okay.
And yeah.
So they meet you first? How does it sort of work? Are you kind of like the first point of contact, and then you would sort of handball clients to the appropriate coach?
Yeah. So one of the things that I do in my day-to-day is meet up with the leads that we have coming through and like take them through the space, talk to them about the different training options, and then team them up with whichever coach I think would be the best fit for that client. Right.
Okay. And when would you feel, Faye, that you'd probably be the best person for that client? So, because obviously you're coaching as well. So how do you not form strong bias or know when it's your turn to say, hey, I'll be great for you?
To be honest, because my role is so varied right now, I actually, I'm trying not to put anyone in my diary, because I have to be a lot more agile in order to support my team. Because if someone's sick or if someone's away on holidays, then I need to cover sessions for my coaches. I also need to be able to do assessments so I can give my coaches feedback. Mm-hmm. And so I'm definitely not tempted to put any more sessions in my diary than I have to. Mm-hmm. And in fact, when I'm having these conversations with clients or potential clients, often they'll ask me at the end, so how do you decide who I go with? And I always feel like they're trying to ask me whether I'll be their coach or not. And I have to kind of gently say, actually, I think this coach might be a better fit. Yeah.
So what is your role at the Queen of Lean then?
So I'm the head coach. So now that Amanda has had Ruby, she's still quite hands-on, but she's not in the space, you know, obviously as many hours as she used to be, and she's not got any clients that she's training anymore. So my day-to-day pretty much, if I'm not coaching my handful of clients, it's doing weekly catch-ups with each of the coaches on our staff. And so that basically their clients, you know, how they're going, whether, you know, they need a few more sessions in their diary, if there's anything challenging that they're finding at the moment, if there's any particularly like tricky client case studies that they need a little bit of help with. In terms of their own personal growth and development, is there something specifically that they want to take a look at, and if there's anything specific that I can do to help facilitate that growth. I also plan our weekly education sessions. So, and that will be either I'll present a topic that I feel like the girls need a little bit more education on, or we might get an external speaker in, like Jacob came in to present to the team a little while ago. Or we might get someone on a webinar as well.
And how often would that happen? Having external speakers come in, how often would Queen of Lean organise that? Because that's really powerful tool too. So
so we do it maybe 3 or 4 times a year. Most of the rest of it is kind of internal, like in-house education. And then in terms of, so I know that Amanda spoke to you about us running a few different challenges through the year. So like Project Bikini,
we touched on all those.
So those challenges, I do all the programming templates for that, and then run through it with the coaching staff. I've also got like the social media stuff along my pile of responsibilities. So I'm across like the Instagram stories, and which is hilarious.
That you? Is that all you?
That's me.
Oh,
it's pretty hilarious because my team know that I'm very, very reluctant with social media, and if it wasn't such a huge part of the fitness industry, I probably wouldn't have an Instagram page. But
why are you so against it?
Why am I?
Or a bit reluctant?
I guess there's definite pluses to it, but I think that it can be a little bit self-indulgent, a little bit, you know, look at me. There can also be a lot of egos on there.
There's definitely a lot of that goes on, 100%. Lots of that. And then there are those that if they're smart enough and they educate people as well, that's where it can be extremely powerful, especially now with IGTV. Are you guys doing anything with IGTV?
We've started dabbling with it. We've done a couple of videos on there. Just feeling it out.
Cool. And using that space to even like give what I've been doing as well with my sessions is I've started a little segment to run no more than say 10 minutes of live footage of me running a class, like a strength class. That'd be great to see some more of that coming from Queen of Lean as well, if you guys get an opportunity to put out more of what happens in your daily sessions as well. So yes, very powerful if it's used properly, I feel, Instagram. So, and it's definitely probably the most powerful platform at the moment. So that's good though. The Instagram page it's nice and good. It's clean. It's themed quite well. So it's quite pleasant to to look at. So
yeah, so the actual feed I don't have anything to do with. It's all the stories that I'm in charge of.
Aha, okay. So who does the feed then? Does Amanda do that?
We have someone that works on it, but we're actually in the process of changing things up a little bit, putting a few more stories on there, like client stories, because I feel like our Insta stories, you get a little bit more of an insight into what it's like at the Queen Helene, whereas our feed, I think it looks great and we get likes, but I don't necessarily feel like we get to tell that story all that effectively there.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that one, definitely. So all right, let's have a talk about, so you attended the evidence-based conference with JPS a couple of months ago. How helpful was the information shared across that weekend for you as a coach?
Like it was an awesome weekend. Like those guys I've been following for quite some time, like Lane and Mike Israel. I have to say Mike is just such an awesome speaker.
Is he different
one day
live?
when I grow up.
Is he quite different live to in person? Quite the same?
He's pretty much the same. He's hilarious, and his anecdotes are just I love the way that he's able to take something complex and make it really easy to understand. And he's just got such a sense of humor about things.
He's great.
Which
he's great to listen
so
to.
easy to listen to.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I think that that you took from that weekend. What would say, if you had to look at your top 5 things, if any particular speaker stood out to you, what was something that they might have said that you really took with you for your coaching?
Do you know what? I think, out of all the speakers, and I don't mean any disrespect here, but like I probably hadn't followed Nick Tomanello as much as some of the other guys that spoke on there. But I was just so impressed with just the way that he thinks, like he's just, you can tell he's really humble and down to earth and there's no ego. And he spoke a lot about, how principles are much more important than methods. And I think that's a really, really key one because I know as a much less experienced coach, you look at the people that are the most successful and you go, all right, for me to be successful, I just need to follow exactly what that person's doing. That must be the golden ticket, But I think now with a little bit more experience behind me, I think I'm more inclined to try to figure out why something actually works and then try to apply that rather than just pick that one method.
That's definitely something that Jacob said to me as well, because I went to Jacob for mentoring at the end of last year, and he quickly made a point of there are principles and methods are way too fixed. So, and it gives the coach the flexibility to find that there could be 1,000 ways to approach the same thing, or that there doesn't have to be that one road to success. It's a case of we've got to find and do whatever it takes to get you there. So, and I think it opens a good path for coaches to go, I'm not just going to be a strength coach. I'm not just going to be a powerlifting coach. I'm going to take on a few of these principles of training and find the best way to get you results. So,
rather than trying to fit the client into that one thing that you know how to do really well.
Yeah.
It's about having so many more tools in your toolbox and then going, okay, I know that this is going to work in this particular scenario. This probably isn't the right fit for this person, but this approach might work better for this person.
Totally. Like I've got some clients that love strength training and prefer that over body sculpting. But it's having the skill set to know know how to coach powerlifting as well as strength training, as well as bodybuilding, and having those clients that can either bounce between all three, or you can say, well, if you love that, great, I've got a class just for that, you know. So it varies your skill set drastically. So is there anything else that he said, Nick said specifically, or any of the other speakers that might have said that were like real gold nuggets for you? Like, I'm sure there was a lot said throughout the weekend.
Yeah, I know. It's so many things.
I wasn't there that particular weekend, but did Jacob get up and talk at all? Did he give a presentation at all?
Yeah, he was up for a little bit. He didn't spend too much time on the stage. He did do a lot of interviews with the guys that ended up being on his YouTube channel, I think.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, hats off to the guy, seriously, for bringing that level of talent to stage.
Big time.
In Australia. It's just never happened before, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of amazing things for the industry, and I think that conference alone really has put him on the map, both locally and internationally as well. So he's pulled off a lot of things in the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years. I've just watched his own progress through the bodybuilding community and now the evidence-based community. And he really is I really put sort of Jacob at their level. His execution and delivery of knowledge he's earned his place in that circle. So yeah, like, it's good. And I more than likely will go to next year's one because of, it just, from what I could see online, it looked like a really good weekend. Like, there was a lot of good things shared, and I'm sure the experience of sitting there in person was so much different to actually listening to the podcasts and stuff like that. The energy is completely different. So, I mean, you would know.
Yeah, I guess the biggest theme for me during that weekend was, you know, you have these guys that are so knowledgeable and have had so many years of experience, and it would have been really easy for them to kind of dictate, this is how you should do things and this is how you should think. But for them, it's more about not what you should think, but, you know, how you should be more critical about the information that's out there. And I think that's a really important message. Yeah,
totally. And yeah, agree with you. It's not just to agree with the first thing that you see or hear, it's to actually do your due diligence and go out and research further. And if it means reading 5 or 10 versions of what it is, that the information that's being presented to you, it's seeking that ultimate clarity overall. So back, I guess, to the mindset side of things, because ultimately that's what I love the evidence-based stuff, but I'd be lying if I said that was my main passion. So my biggest passion is mindset when it comes to coaching, and understanding the psychology of our clients and what makes people tick. So would you say, as a coach, Faye, and obviously with your own personal battles with PCOS and I suppose any like your time when you had a bit of depression, so you had depression through that process as well? Would you say that there is a big need in our industry for coaches to be helping more clients develop more hardwired rituals that don't need to see them rely solely on motivation?
Yeah, look, you know, for me, I really geek out on the whole, you know, the science behind training. I really, like I said to you, I love being on the gym floor, but I do know that that's not where our work ends. Because, you know, when you think about it, our psychology actually affects our physiology. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's gold.
And so we can't separate. You can't separate the two. And like, I'll give you two really quick examples. Like, if you start feeling anxious about something, right? What starts to happen? Your heart rate starts to increase, your respiration rate increases, you might start getting sweaty palms. And, you know, that's just from that's a physical manifestation of something that began in the mind.
Yeah.
And so I think if you want to be able to help someone, like really help someone, you can't discount the mental or the mindset aspect of it. Yeah. And that's definitely something that we work on a lot within our coaching model at the Queen of Lean.
Yeah. So how do you go about addressing some of those mindset strategies then for your clients?
Yeah. So for me, I definitely tend to be a lot more process orientated. So rather than talking to, like, setting goals like, I want to lose 2 kilos in the next week.
Yeah.
It's more about, okay, what are the action steps that we're actually going to have to put into place for you to be able to achieve that? So then it's kind of going backwards and going, all right, what is actually showing up for this person? What's their biggest obstacle? Why are they stuck? And, you know, if it's sleep, or if it's, you know, energy, or if it's stress, then we'll look at ways to address those things in order to see a result. Like, just as a really quick example, I had a new client start just recently. And so for her first fortnight, because we do fortnightly coaching sessions, and so for her first fortnight, I asked her about what she thought her biggest obstacle was. And she said stress. And she has actually just started seeing a psychologist to try to deal with this work-related stress. And so I said, okay, I agree with you. From what she was saying to me, it sounded like the overriding theme for her. And so in the first fortnight, she didn't even want to address food, because she knew that if she didn't address stress, then the food was going to be not amazing anyway.
Yeah.
So with her, and this is going to sound so simple, but we just worked on giving her a breathing technique, right? So are you familiar with box breathing?
Box breathing? No.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. No.
Box breathing. Okay. So box breathing is something that we talk a lot about. And it's a way to take a client out from their sympathetic dominance to parasympathetic system. So a lot of people don't breathe through their diaphragm. They breathe shallowly. And so what we do is we get them to actually really focus on diaphragmatic breathing.
Yep.
But we also get them to count their breath. So it's a 4-second inhale, then they hold that for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and then hold that for 4 seconds again, and then you repeat the cycle. So what I actually will get a client to do initially is, actually, maybe you can play along with me.
Sure.
Let's get you to put your hands just across your collarbone there. Let's get you to take maybe 5 deep breaths, as deep as you can. normal breathing. You don't have to slow it down or anything.
Am I holding my breath?
No, not yet.
No.
Okay. So I'm going to stop you there because I can already see. I don't know if you can feel this, but I can see your hands rise like this. So that's shallow breathing, right? And shallow breathing is, you know, when someone is feeling anxious, that's the kind of breath that they're using.
Yeah.
And
probably because you're putting me on the spot.
But you wouldn't have asked me on here if you knew that was going to happen. So what through cage. Imagine that you've got a balloon, meters, and a balloon up, and you're going to hold that breath for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and then hold it again. And we'll get you to do that for a couple cycles.
All right, so just that cut out a little bit there. So just to quickly repeat. So we're going to imagine, just repeat that whole thing again. Sorry, Faye, just cut out.
That's all right. Yeah. So in through the nose, but you want to make sure that you're, imagine that you've got a balloon where your stomach is and you're trying to expand that balloon out when you breathe in.
So like your Valsalva maneuver? Like your Valsalva maneuver, yep. So breathe in, hold, 4 seconds?
Yeah.
Yep.
Exhale for 4 seconds and then out for, hold for 4 seconds.
How many times do you want me to do this?
Do a couple more. All right, how did that feel?
Good. Actually felt a bit more relaxed that time.
Yeah. So you weren't rising and falling so much. And do you know what? When I get new clients to do this, the first thing that they'll say to me is, I feel lightheaded. And I say to them, that's oxygen actually getting to your brain for a change.
Yeah.
Right. And then the next thing they'll say to me is, I actually feel relaxed. So this particular technique, I get them to do it in a couple of different ways. So one thing that I do is get them to do it as like a mindfulness practice almost. And, you know, go outside for 5 minutes in the sunshine, do your box breathing, and then get on with your day. Or during the day, if they're feeling like their anxiety levels are increasing, get them to do that then. Another really useful time that I find to do it is as part of their wind down routine. I had a client who was having trouble sleeping for the longest time, and we tried everything with her. And I got her to do this box breathing before bed. And I said to her, let's just start with 5 minutes, right? You don't have to go any longer than that. Within the first couple of days of her doing it, she said that she didn't even finish timing the 5 minutes. She fell asleep with that. So that's
like meditation
a technique that I use. And so this new client that started I taught her this technique. You know, we didn't do any food. You know, we didn't talk about food at all, and she actually dropped body fat percentage in the first 2 weeks just managing stress.
Yeah, amazing. Really, really important. And a lot of, again, why I am so heavily focused around mindset, because as you say, your psychology affects your physiology, and I strongly believe it all starts and ends in your mind. And until you can become more self-aware with what your body needs, So I just actually wrote a blog today on how self-awareness trumps motivation, and that to really listen to your body, because your body is a very strong biofeedback system. So if you're going to, if you need feedback, the first thing to listen to is obviously what your body is telling you. So if you're having certain foods, or if you're tired, or more often than not, your body will let you know. And I think a lot more people need to start to internalize a bit more about what signals they're getting from their body, so that they can start to make better decisions for themselves without having to always rely on the feedback from others. So what do you think about that, Faye?
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think the problem is that people just don't know how to listen to what their body is telling them. I think we're also busy, and people wear being busy as being a badge of honor. And in this busyness, I think we lose touch with how we're actually feeling, how we're navigating through life, what things are affecting us, that kind of thing. Yeah,
definitely. I think people learn to feel that stress is normal, and that's probably how they should be feeling, when in actual fact it's so far from what's good for them that I think a lot more encouragement needs to come from, you need to slow down. You really need to slow down, and just put the brakes on, and spend those little doing those little that box breathing technique, I think, is quite good. And having other tools and strategies in place as well. So I think self-awareness is the key for a lot of things, but unfortunately a lot of people are still struggling with it at times, still not aware of how to actually achieve it. So cool. All right. Well, that's pretty much it. But before we sort of take off, apparently you've got a pretty epic sneaker collection. I'm sorry, I had to ask because I'm a big sneaker girl myself. So how many pairs have you got, Faye?
I can't actually give you a figure. I actually don't know.
That bad, is it?
There's still quite a few pairs at my parents' place that I don't even have room for. So
not even an average number? Like, you can't even give me a rough number?
Maybe 40, 50.
Damn it, you're beating me.
Maybe something like that.
That's decent. Favorite pair or favorite top 5?
Actually, I'm a little bit obsessed with the Adidas Ultra Boosts at the moment, or I have been for the past year. It's the most comfy pair of sneakers ever.
They're good. They're good. Adidas have gotten really, really good in the last, I'd say, 2 years, like with all their NMDs and all that. Yeah, no, they're great. Cool. All right, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today, Faye. I understand that you've got a lot on your plate at the moment, so I really, really do appreciate it. So if people do want to get in touch with yourself at the Queen of Lean, how is the best way for them to reach out to you?
Probably just through email, faye@thequeenoflean.com.au.
Yep.
Or like through our Facebook or Instagram page as well. I've also got my own Instagram page, so it's just my name, Faye Magpayo. This will probably be the best places.
Yeah, easy. No worries. I'll take that below as well. So Magpayo, what nationality is that? Is that
Filipino.
Yeah, I thought so. There you go. Yeah. All right, cool. No worries. I will take those below. Guys, thank you so much for watching today. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with more podcasts coming up. Turn on your post notifications, and thank you for supporting the channel. And Faye, thank you so much. Hang on the line there. I'll just stop recording. And until next time, Keep crushing it.